going to hit record here. So welcome to the Aquatics Roundtable. Gray and myself will be hosting today to talk about the lovely world of aquatics, all things water. So what we're going to do is we'll just do a quick roundtable if you guys want to introduce yourselves and maybe give us a little bit about where your facility is currently at, and if there's any areas that you definitely want us to cover today, so we can make sure I'll make a list of those and cover those off. So Gray, do you want to start with yourself?
Sure. My name is Gray Fairley. I'm new to the position in regards to pool coordinator. I have been around this pool since the early 80s as a swimmer, then as a varsity swimmer, and then as a varsity coach for the last 20 some odd years. So when Debbie Marinoff left, they were like, why don't you do it? So that's what I did. What they failed to tell me was that the pool was drained for 2 months, nothing worked, and everything was going to be opened up on approximately August 1st when my swim team also needed to be starting too. So I felt like my head was going to explode for about 2 weeks. Things are a lot better now. And the pool actually works. It's not leaking everywhere, et cetera, et cetera. All the lights work. And apparently, according to the health inspector, we had too many holes in the pool. So those are all filled with metal things that we can pop out at any point in time. So for 55 years, all the like ladder holes and that kind of thing were left exposed. So this health inspector said, you need to put tops on it and you have 2 weeks. So yay. But anyway, so we're doing swimmingly now. We're doing swimmingly now. So.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Kristen, let's head over to you.
Awesome. Hi, yeah, so I'm Kristen Fontaine. Similarly, Gray, I'm also new to my role. So I was hired here at Queen's as the aquatic coordinator in March. So I was here for 2 weeks. Kingston has had when you came from an outside region, you had to isolate for 2 weeks, and then you were able to be exposed to the public. And during those 2 weeks when I was in my isolation, my pool was in lockdown again. So I actually did not work in my pool until September 7th when we reopened, and I worked remotely that whole time. So it was very interesting to manage a pool from a distance like that, but my pool was also drained the entire time. And when we were refilling it again, found a lot of mechanical issues. So I can understand your issues that you were having there as well, Gray, for sure. But yeah, honestly, everything this past fall has gone really, really well. I have an amazing group of staff. So that's really helped. But something that I think I would really like to talk about or ask you guys questions on during this call would definitely be on inner tube water polo, and if you guys are planning on doing an intramural inner tube water polo, how you're planning to set it up, all that kind of stuff, mostly to do with swim testing in that kind of area. So yeah, but other than that, we in terms of where we're at in terms like opening, we have no capacity restrictions, just masks when you're in the change rooms and on deck. But we are not allowing anyone that's under 12 into our facility at this point. So you have to be fully vaccinated. So that's really put us a stopper, I guess, on most of our programming, as you can imagine. So we've only been offering teen and adult private lessons this past fall session, and we'll likely continue that most of the winter, and then invite kids back in the spring if they are fully vaxxed.
Awesome. Thank you. I have inner tube IMS on my post-it, so we will cover that for sure. Thank you. All right, let's stay in Ontario. I'll head up north to Laura.
Hi. So yes, my name is Laura McMaster, and I'm from Trent University. Often mistaken of being from McMaster University, but no, that's just my last name. And so I am the student engagement and aquatics guest experience agent here at Trent. So I do campus rec, and then I also do aquatics, and I co-do aquatics with Caitlin Costello. Right now with the pool, our pool's shut right now. We have some mechanical issues. It's been closed for about a month. It's just a grand old time. So nothing going on in the pool right now, but we did have like some clubs back in the pool. Otherwise, we just had like we just had lane swim going on in the pool. And we were just starting to increase capacities when we had to shut the pool down. So That's where we're at right now with the pool. We're hoping to do lessons in January when the pool is hopefully reopening. And we were planning on offering inner tube water polo as well as water basketball for intramural sports. Yeah, we're also exploring swim test policies and what that looks like around keeping people safe. And then kind of on another note, aquatics wise, I'm the area chair for the Peterborough, Hastings, and Northumberland area for the Life Saving Society. And then I also hold a variety of National Lifeguard instructor, first aid instructor trainer, swim instructor, life saving instructor. So deep in the teaching realm when it comes to aquatics.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. That's perfect. All right, Chad, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'll round out Ontario here a bit. My name is Chad Van Dyke. I'm the new Director of Recreation and Wellbeing. So I work alongside Jenna. I'll defer and let Jenna speak to all the specifics. I'm sort of just kind of jumping around to some of these roundtables to get a kind of an idea of what goes on, even though I know I'll never get there, just to gain an appreciation for a lot of the work that we do and the unique struggles that comes with overseeing an aquatics portfolio. So yeah, excited to be joining us today.
Awesome, thanks. And we'll start hanging out west with Morgan.
Hello, I'm Morgan Stanton. I'm the Aquatic Center Supervisor at Mount Royal University here in Calgary. We have a pool that's turning 50 years old next year. So as I'm sure with a lot of you, a lot of challenges come with that. We got a lot of upgrades over COVID, or not so much upgrades, but fixes. We got new filter sand, patched up some leaks. We've been slowly working on things throughout, but it's definitely coming time for a decision to be made on this facility. But yeah, so we've been busier than ever. We're full blast in the fall. Alberta does not have any restrictions as long as you're vaccinated. So all the kids were in here, full lessons. Next semester is even more busy as we have academic classes coming in and more rentals than ever before. As with the state of some of the pools in Calgary, there's definitely not enough space. So a lot of older facilities are closing down. So yeah, it's been busier than ever. Chad, you might be interested to know, we got the hot tub cleaned out the other day. It was full of us. We shut down our hot tub a couple of years ago. During the last bit, it was noticed that it was full of water somehow, so we're investigating that, but that was an interesting one. So we had to get that cleaned out. And yeah, so a lot of fun things going on.
Awesome. Thanks, Morgan. I don't know if many people have a hot tub anymore, so it's interesting. That's probably the cleanest thing to have in university, but
it's the shell of a hot tub.
There we go. All right, we'll head way out west where there's no rules anymore. Christine, do you want to start us off?
I don't know about no rules. We still have some rules. So currently, in terms of COVID for our facility at UBC, we have face masks are still mandatory with the exception of field of play, which is our deck space. We have continued to keep the steam and sauna closed. Looking to revisit that for the winter, possibly bringing it back. Our hot tub, though, is in use. Our competition pool, recreation pool, leisure pool, all active. We've kept our 5-minute break, little buffer in between our registered drop-in programs, which has been lovely in order to clear out the pool and move in the new group. We've kept pretty much all of our drop-in programming as registered, pre-reg only. We've tried a couple of drop-ins. It has been a little hectic with lineups out the door. So just know, and I've heard this from another aquatic facility north from us, that the minute they turned to drop-in, it was full lineups out the door from open to close. So that's just a cautionary tale for all of you. We've kept our registrations process in place though, and it's been going well. Lessons are running. We do have Swim Kids 4 and under is still parent participated in there, which has been nice. And I know a lot of parents do appreciate that still, that we have that in effect. Other than that, for the most part, it's doors are open in the lobby. People can come in and chat. We don't have spectators. The only spectator pilot program we're trying right now is if you're coming in for your children's lesson and they're Swim Kids 5 and over and you want to watch them, you can show proof of vaccination at our desk. We give you a wristband and you can sit in the designated area to watch. That's the only sort of vaccination checks we're doing currently right now. Our VIA Sport and provincial guidelines say that pools have been exempt from the vaccination checks. So it's with the exception of events and spectators. So for our events, we've hosted 3 swim meets so far this fall, created a layout where there was no interaction between community and the event. They all had separate entrances, separate change rooms, separate pathways, and the events were fully vaccinated. You had to be fully vaccinated to attend. So it's kind of where we are. Very big sum up, but rentals are back. Our varsity teams are competing, just won Canada West for men, so they're all excited to be fully into race mode.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you. When I said no rules, usually we sit on these calls and BC's like, oh, we can do this and this. And we're like, yeah, we can't do any of that. So it's interesting that the pool is kind of similar to how we are here. Awesome. Stefan, did you want to jump in at all?
I just wanted to say hello. I know we did meet some of you when you were here for NIRSA a couple years ago, or was that already last year? A couple years ago, let's say. And again, wanting to ensure that whether it's myself or Christine, that we remain engaged. So we apologize that we may not have been as engaged as we could have been in the past, but looking forward to doing so on a more regular basis. So Christine will certainly take the lead, but in supporting her, I'll be popping in, and I'm in budget world right now, so I'm going to listen in if that's okay, and try to do double duty on a couple things. So
I love that. Thanks for joining us. That's great. Yeah, it's hard to believe it was almost 2 years ago when we were at UBC. I was like, that's a lot. I've been on a plane. Crazy enough.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy. And
we'll keep an eye on the cute little guy in your photo as you if you turn off the camera. So.
Yeah.
All right, so here at Western, we are strictly only open to students at this point. So we don't have any community members or external rentals coming in. So we are still reservation only. We're at 45 minutes, but we're gonna look to adjust that. We have 16 slots per tank right now, and we're finding it's never really filling up. So we might even get rid of our reservations. And like Christine, we don't have people lining up out the door to get in. So that's one thing. We did run swimming lessons, but obviously it was Western students only, and we did private. And I think we had about 9 registered. So it was a good way to kind of ease back in and have our instructors kind of get used to teaching again. Varsity still in, and we have a rec club. So Dragon Boat Triathlon Club. We're working with a new synchro group who have been coming in and using the pool. So that's been great. And then as we look to the winter, we'll be integrating inner tube water polo back in. We don't have water basketball, although that sounds very fun. So we might have to look into that one. But yeah, so we'll be running those. And then otherwise, knock on wood, no maintenance issues. But the question I want to bring up with you guys is how often you're emptying your pool and fully kind of draining it and power washing and all of that. So I'll stop there. What I want to do is to make sure we get to Kristen's question, because I know that was one that was flagged, is inner tube water polo. So who is running inner tube water polo either now or will be in the winter? Okay, so we got UBC, Trent, Queens, McMaster, and Western. Okay, does anyone want to jump in and talk us through how they do their swim test? If you do a swim test.
We haven't quite done a swim test. So we brought back inner tube water polo this fall just for an event, just for a tournament. They're not running weekly right now, just to see how it goes. But what they were doing was having everybody do a warm-up swim and do a couple of laps to warm up when the lifeguards were well ready to attend and watch and make sure of who do we need to look out for during this tournament, who's good and all that. We didn't do an official swim test, but that's how we did it. And it, from what I understand from the shift supervisor, it went really well doing that way.
Yeah, so as I can't remember if I said this or not, but yeah, our inner tube water polo didn't run this fall because the pool was closed. But had it run, we would have done like full-blown swim tests for people to participate. It was just a facility decision to take it to that next level, that we want everyone to be strong, competent swimmers for any sport that they're going to be participating in. And our swim test, I think it's a pretty standard one. People jump into the water in the deep end. They swim 25 meters, the length of the pool. They have to stay on their stomach, and we're just looking for a consistent swim. I know in the summertime when we were doing camp, like we had all the camp counselors do the swim test, and there was one who was unsuccessful. So they just weren't able to participate in any of the water activities. They would switch out with another instructor, and that was just a safety priority that we've decided to take here.
Awesome. So we do similar thing as Laura's the first night, have them jump in and do the 25-meter swim. For any that we have who are not successful, we give the option of wearing a life jacket. If they want to remain in the program, it is something that, obviously our priority is the safety and well-being of the members and the staff, but we also don't want to prevent anyone from participating in the program if they wish to continue. And I'm assuming when they show up, they know they can't swim. So there's probably going to be something that they need to do instead of being able to just jump on a tube. But that's what we do, is just kind of provide that life jacket option if they wish to remain in the program.
So McMaster, we do it only in the shallow end, so we don't actually do a swim test, which I get, but I guess again, being kind of new to this role, since we're only in the shallow end, and I'm just asking, would it be advisable in the environments that we're in now to have a swim test if we're only shallow end? Like, I'm just sort of asking the question. Like, I mean, we could implement it. I just never have before. Sorry, I've never seen a swim test at McMaster over my 40 years of being there. So for inner tube, so that would be new for us, but we're only in the shallow end. So I guess that's my question.
I wonder if I might jump in there as well, because we historically at Queens have never had any sort of swim test, and we've run inner tube, and from my understanding, in the deep end during that time, which obviously I was like, I very much want to make sure that there's a swim test beforehand, but that brings up a good question of if we should put it in for anyone that's attending inner tube water polo, simply because it reduces that risk of having the lifeguards have to jump in and have that close contact. So I wonder if it is a good time to kind of start implementing those things with the reasoning of COVID behind it, but also that overall safety factor, so that it reduces the amount of risk our lifeguards have of jumping in during that time.
Yeah, I kind of go to where Laura mentioned. It's one of those things where the lifeguards, Laura, no, maybe it's, sorry. Anyways, where the lifeguards now know who to watch for. I think that was actually Christine during your tournament. Is they have a good idea of, whether they're really strong, like it might be a varsity swimmer, let's say, who, you don't have to think twice about, but great, even someone in the shallow end, is not comfortable swimming. If they fall off their tube, then kind of what their response is going to be. So I would say in some scenarios, it's better to be safe than sorry. Take that first 5 minutes and just have everybody swim, warm up, jump on their tube, and then you kind of have an idea, as opposed to, just get going and hope for the best kind of thing. All right.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions? Kristen, does that help you?
Yeah, I actually really like that idea, Christine, of having them kind of, it's obviously has that dual purpose of warming up their body, but also gives that underlying purpose of giving the lifeguards the opportunity of assessing who actually we might need to watch out for, or offer that life jacket option potentially too. Because I think, like you said, Laura, there are those people that come in thinking they can swim that maybe will not pass that swim test if we were to ask them, but we will definitely be able to pick out those people during that warm up, do 6 legs, 4 legs, whatever, to give us a good enough idea. Yeah, because there was, I guess the reason why I had brought it up was there's discussions from our facility coordinators that are bringing up things like we don't have a swim test, for example, for all adults to attend a member lane swim or to attend our shallow water volleyball. So looking from like a legal consistency perspective, what is the reasoning for having a swim test involved for inner tube water polo specifically? So I guess that's where they were kind of coming from, but I think that we've had some really good discussions, especially with like the idea of COVID involved and having it our intramural is now in the deep end. Like we in the fall only ran water volleyball on the shallow end, so it was not as much of a risk involved. But I think if we were to use that as kind of the underlying purpose of instituting the swim tests, or that warm-up period to assess, that's very helpful for me. So much appreciated. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, and I think that's when you can kind of take, right, where it's as opposed to fit lanes where they're coming in and swimming at their own pace. Like inner tube water polo, you got to keep up. You're on a tube, like you're constantly moving. There's balls being whipped at you. So there's not always that full control of what's happening. Whereas in fit lanes, like you can pick the slow lane or the leisure lane and be able to kind of go at your own speed. Whereas inner tube water polo, you got to keep up or you're getting behind for sure. So awesome. All right. Where are you? Do you guys want to chat about lessons? I know that that's kind of something people might be working through. Is there questions about whether to continue reservations? Sounds like Christine's going to keep them. I think your beautiful facility is quite popular out there, especially if you're open to the community a little bit. So where do you guys want to take this? The only thing I had was emptying the pool. It sounds like a lot of us did it over or had completed it over COVID, but now what is your schedule moving from there?
We've landed for UBC, we've landed on every April. We're going to do a maintenance shutdown, preventative maintenance shutdown, empty everything and do all the repairs and stuff within the month. We originally, when we first moved into this lovely new building, had this wonderful idea of closing half the pool for 2-3 weeks in December and then do the other half of the pool in April. But from a budget standpoint, trying to get all the contractors in, things like that, it didn't make sense. So now we've moved to April. We did a huge review of all of our 12 months and in terms of camps, lessons, varsity, like basically where everybody is, we've landed with April is the best time. Also giving our student staff a break to study during exams too is a nice little bonus for them.
For sure. Awesome.
I did want to share one of the interesting learnings, if I could, and it's something that had a huge impact here and that would probably have a larger impact where you are, is that last year, as a result of the Olympic trials moving, we actually got a request because we're the host of a national training center with Swimming Canada. We actually moved our proposed closure a month later. So it was a bit of a pivot on a pivot for us. So instead of doing our shutdown in April, we did mid-May to mid-June. So Christine mentioned that we did quite a bit of analysis to switch from December to April. The utilities that we all pay with respect to pools are substantial. And so some of our colleagues on campus to help us do some of the analysis, the engineers that look at utilities, HVAC, all these various pieces. Depending on the volume of water that you're referring to with your respective facilities, when we moved even from December to April, there was a big win. And then they saw the change from April to May. They were wondering, hey, can you do this in July? So the takeaway is that if the incoming water that you're taking is really, really cold, which it is in most of your markets, depending on what time of the year you do it, the more you're going to pay, not only in the water costs, but in the heating costs. So one of the things that we are going to continue to look at is we've landed on the sweet spot of April operationally. Would we ever change it for any other financial reasons? We don't know at this time, but it's something to keep in mind for any of you that are making some of those decisions.
That's a great point. Thank you. Anybody else around open and close facility emptying?
We generally like April and September. So similar to what a couple other people have said, April lines up well with like when students are heading out, and then September after all the campers have been in the pool. But that was outside of COVID. I don't know if we have our pool's been shut on and off. So yeah, we'll see what kind of schedule we get going.
And that's a full emptying twice a year?
Yeah, usually for 2 or 3 days to do a deep clean and fix the forever sharp tiles that everyone always cuts their toes on.
And how big is your pool, Laura?
We have a 25-meter pool with 6 lanes in it.
Okay, nice.
Right. We do every 2 years, typically December. It's just our lowest time financially in terms of rentals. So that's usually when we do it, as we're pretty much have 2 weeks of holidays over Christmas to kind of not have to worry about. And with exams going on, it doesn't affect any of our academic classes or our programming. So that's usually when we do it. We have done it before in the past in the spring, again, not affecting any of our HPED classes, but typically it'll be every 2nd December.
Awesome. So we do ours beginning of May, typically every other year. So we learned this because nobody talked about emptying the pool, and after 7 years we decided to do it, and the smell and everything that came from emptying was terrible. So that was a very good life lesson that maybe we should be doing this more often. So we are now doing every other, and we do May, just because by then the students are gone, varsity's wrapped up. And we typically don't really have too many rentals throughout the summer, more of summer camps. So we want to make sure that, yeah, it's clean and empty, and refilled before they get back in, as well as what I mentioned is kind of redoing the tiles and everything. Tiles we tend to do about 2 times a year, depending on kind of what is happening. Right now, we've kind of pushed it off a little bit because there hasn't been as much programming and a lot of demand in there the last 2 years. So we'll look to do that probably in the spring. But yeah, it's something where, you know, fees or financially, it doesn't really make sense for us to do it every year. But yeah, every other year seems to be where we've kind of landed. Okay. Oh, so go ahead, Greg.
With McMaster, we do it every year at the end of August, after camps are over, before the season starts. And then we're usually open for the Wednesday or Thursday after Labor Day. That's sort of our sweet spot. We do it every year, but we do not do a full drain. It will only be a drain beyond the nozzle, like, so, all the piping. So except for the main drain, and we will never, ever, ever in the life of this pool, which is hopefully very short, drain to the main drain again, due to the issues that we had with the 2-month closure this summer. We're a saltwater pool, which was the worst decision the university ever made, and it just eats everything. And when you drain it, it eats everything even faster. So we are hoping that the 2030 Commonwealth Games happens and we get a new pool, and we can take a bomb to the pool that is existing at McMaster right now. And actually, Christine, it will the pool that it's the same company that built your pool, and so the pros and cons of your facility, we're hoping to learn from you on how it gets built.
Stefan and I could probably send you a list.
When I was there a couple of years ago, I talked to Tom Johnson about it, and like from his perspective, right? Of course, being a coach as well. Yeah, that would be awesome. Awesome.
And what level?
Might be the only one that I didn't answer.
I just had a quick question, Gray, here from Morgan. What level do you keep your salt and LSI at?
We keep it at it's 3,000 parts per million as long as we possibly can, right? And so I think we're dumping salt in about every 3 to 5 days, right? We're having to top that up as much as we possibly can. Our pool operator was there for 40 years. He retired on Friday, and honestly, I mean, January 15th, I might be saying to you, our pool is broken because the university doesn't want to hire a real pool operator, because he was under an old contract, an old custodian. So we now have a minimum wage custodian running our pool.
Right. Yeah, I was just wondering because, yeah, we run saltwater, and you get a bit more wear and tear on everything, but I haven't had any major issues with the salt water. It's been awesome. We barely have to add salt water. our salt to it. It's great. Yeah. And we don't have any operations team as well. It's all on our lifeguards. We don't have anyone to help us with that. I would check your LSI, see what that's at in your pool chemistry, because if you want to make it slightly slightly corrosive, so then you don't get a buildup of salt, and then it also might not affect the wear and tear on your equipment. But that'd be something I would look into.
Yeah, I unfortunately we're not allowed to touch it. Like, so I'm not even allowed to go inside because of the way the union contracts work. So I'm not even if I was a CPO, I would not be allowed downstairs into the thing. So as I agree with you about the LSI and the corrosive nature of salt, but yeah, they had to replace all the drain pipes because whatever they did, I wasn't there, wasn't under my watch, but yeah. Anyway.
All right, Kristen, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, sorry. I think I in terms of when we drain our pool, I don't know if we'll do it next year or not, since we had been drained for like 4 months and did a lot of different maintenance on it already. But I guess one kind of question to bring out of this is that we still have a liner on our pool. And so I don't know if anyone here has gone from switching from tile to a liner or liner to tile, and what the pros and cons that you found of that are. But basically our liner had been replaced only 2 years ago, and it's already the black lines on most of the shallow end lines have been like pulled up and broken or ripped, I guess. So if we do drain the pool next year, it likely would be May. That's typically when the pool is drained every year. But my goal is if we would drain the pool in this coming May, that we would either switch the liner to tile or find a better long-lasting liner for the pool. So I don't know if that opens up another question to the group, but I guess it would be the switching from liner to tile or tile to liner and pros and cons on that.
Does anyone else have experience with the liner? You might be on your own here, Kristen. Sorry.
I kind of figured when I came in, I most of my entire background is with municipal pools. So I've actually only dealt with the liner in your little backyard outdoor tiny pools. So when I came in and saw my 38 by 25 meter pool filled with a liner, I was very surprised myself. But yeah, okay, that might give me my answer then. Maybe we're going tile.
Join the party over here. Yep. Awesome. All right. What I'm going to do is open it up to advanced courses. How are you guys finding this? Are you running them? Are they filling? Are you finding certified instructors? ... I'll leave it there and see if anybody wants to jump in first.
My LSI courses, Medallion, Cross, NL, every course has been over capacity. I've added more courses. So I think I've ran 5 meds this semester and they've all been over capacity. The LSI courses are absolutely packed. WSI is not so much, but still fair bit of interest. But yeah, they've been crazy, nonstop. I don't know if anyone has anything else.
We've primarily been doing either online courses or hybrids of online and in person. So like the examiner course can be done online. We did first aid instructor, which can be like 75% online, 25% in person. With the pool being closed, we haven't, by the time we decided to offer the water courses, the pool shut down. But definitely I would agree. We had I don't think it would have been any issue filling it. We get 10 emails a day from people just being like, when are lessons going to be offered? So yeah, and a lot of first aid because everyone got their extensions, and then everyone knows they have until December 31st. And so yeah, we've probably, I don't know, since August, run like 10 first aid courses, just like internally for Trent University employees.
That's kind of similar for us. We've run, I would say probably at least 10, yeah, since August. But Queens actually did not offer hardly any leadership classes when I came in March. So we've easily tripled the amount of courses that we offer, up to right now. The highest is, I guess, yeah, first aid instructor, aquatic supervisor training examiners. But we will be bringing in NL instructors next semester as well. But looking to do, we did one virtual examiners course for Western, and we're looking to do more virtual examiners and aquatic supervisor training in the winter. So if anyone's looking to do those virtual courses, hit me up. But yeah, it honestly has been going very well. And I think it's mostly the instructors are just so excited to be back teaching those courses. But one thing we have been, I guess, not an issue, but well, it'll be a transition to find is that we are switching over to the Life Saving Society Swim for Life curriculum in the winter. We've been a Red Cross facility forever, and most of Eastern Ontario is Red Cross. But 90% of our students that come in are all from the GTA. So they all have their Life Saving Society qualifications. So it makes more sense for us to teach the curriculum that they can actually teach than teaching all of them how to teach Red Cross instead. So we'll be switching over in the winter, and we'll likely find some confusion, I'm sure, from the public on that front. But I do find that our bronze courses are quite low registration, actually. There's not, I don't know if it's just because of the Kingston area or if we just haven't been able to reach people to let them know that Queens actually is offering these courses, since we've been so lackluster the last several my gosh, years. But yeah, so I guess maybe another question to pose to the group would be what techniques you do have for marketing your courses, short of posting them on the Life Saving Society website and trying to do some social media pushes. But that's kind of where we're running into some issues, I think, with our low registration, is just simply because people don't know that we're offering all these courses now.
So for the advanced courses, I'm in the Peterborough area, and there's only 3 pools like really within our area at all. So one thing that we found is like kind of coordinating together amongst the 3 pools. And so instead of all of us offering a swim instructor course at the same time, it's like, okay, we'll offer one in the fall, the Y can offer one in January, and then the Wellness Center can offer one in the spring. And then that way, you know, we're all getting a little income. But then it means we actually have like a full, 8 candidates sign up for the course versus only 2, and then having to cancel it. So that's one thing that we've tried. But otherwise, like for a lot of the courses, they really only need to be offered like once a year, because we just have a lower demographic for people in the wanting to do the upper courses.
Sorry, yeah, that's a really good suggestion, because Kingston area, very similar idea, because there's really only the Y and then one city run pool in this area. So and military college, but again, it's not necessarily just open for the public. So I would say I guess, coordinating with other people in the area. But is there any ways that you guys have found specifically to like reach out? I guess short of doing social media kind of things, or like shooting emails out to members have registered before. I guess I'm just trying to see if there's any way to do a broader, I guess campaign might be the right term, but more because I'm sure, as you all understand, like we've 2 years, we've missed a whole group, almost generation of people that will be going through the lifeguarding courses. And I just wonder if there's people that don't know that exists, or what steps they need to take to do it, especially in a water community like Kingston, where there's so many people that would benefit from taking these courses. I just don't know if they know they exist.
From our end, we're struggling right now because we can't have external users, and the people that we usually service with our advanced courses are typically not our students. So one thing that's been very, very beneficial for us is we have a bronze med week and a bronze cross week that align with Sport Western or summer camp. And we offer it 9 to 4. So we do med in July and then we do cross in August. So that way it's kind of like parents are like, well, it's hard for them to go every Sunday for this term because they're in hockey and they're in ballet and X and Y and Z. So for us, it's just a week of summer where they're coming 9 to 4. They can still get to soccer after they're done or wherever they want to go. And then typically we reach out to the people who took, let's say, med in 2020 for 2021 is cross, saying, hey, we're running this. You did awesome last term. We'd love to have you back in this class. That's typically run well for us. But yeah, we just ran an NL research on the weekend and we had 4. So I had to have staff come in to do the research because I didn't want to cancel it on these poor people. But it's just for us, it's a struggle. The other thing you can do is send it out to the kin department. I find sometimes they like to know about the programs we're running. So anytime we plan first aid courses, we send it to kin first because our second years have to have their SFA to go into third year. It's a requirement for the course. So we'll send it out to them. And then sometimes we'll reach out as well to Althouse, which is our teachers college, and to say, hey, we're running this. We know that teachers like to have extra certifications if they're looking for something different, especially those wanting to get in phys ed or whatever, then this would be a good chance for them. So those are kind of the 2 we do, but yeah, we're struggling right now just because we're limited to Western students and typically not the population that are enrolling in these courses. So.
Building off of what you said there, Jenna, what our team has done is really try, and some of the other pools in the area, is not only the strategic timing of those camps in the summer, but also looking at one JLC, Junior Lifeguard Club, and trying to get that going. And then the other piece, which is a significant amount more work, and I would say that we've only scratched the surface and we're not there yet in terms of a successful piece, but engaging the high schools and trying to get some champion in the local high schools. We did a push a couple years ago. We thought we had some, it didn't really translate into anything, but we think that at the point that Kristen has identified with respect to this gap, this 2-year period of time, we were already at a shortage of lifeguards in North America prior to this, and now it's just going to make it worse, to the point where we have pools in BC that are closing because they don't have staff, right? So I would suggest it's a real issue that that we all have to figure out.
I'm sorry. Again, I look at things maybe a little bit differently. So from a swim club perspective, because I also run a large swim club, about 500 people, when we came down in COVID, we went down to 200 people. So we turned to Google, Instagram, and Facebook ads. They're very inexpensive, relatively speaking. I'm not sure what your budgets are, et cetera, but I would say that you definitely have a team within your athletic department that would be able to coordinate that for you. And we are back up to 400 people. So we went down to 200 people during COVID. Some of it is demand for sure, but we on average are generating club-wise, we're getting 5 to 10 people new every week from $100 or $200 a month in advertising. So it's very, very effective. I have not done it in regards to, like advanced courses, but I know within the city of Hamilton right now, they are all full, every one of them. They offer it, it is full. And the other piece that, from a university perspective, and this really helps me, is engage the swim clubs. So the swim clubs themselves are so large, and I right now have a whole bunch of people that will never make the McMaster University swim team, the University of British Columbia swim team, et cetera, but they want to continue to be involved in swimming. They, much like actually Jenna said, they do not have the time on Sunday afternoon because they're at finals of the regional meet that they're at. And I think that's a great place to get a lot of people for those advanced courses, for sure. And I literally have hundreds of people in my club that are that age.
Great tip. Thanks, Greg. I'm going to does anybody have anything they want to cover off? I was going to move towards staffing and staff training while we're on this topic. So is there anything you guys have that's pressing? I want to respect your time and try and stay within the hour. Is there anything before we jump there that you guys wanted to cover off?
Staffing was my one that I was hoping we could chat about.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so let's do that. So Christine, why don't I hand it off to you and you can kind of take us where you were hoping to go.
I was just curious, again, building off this discussion we're just having, is how people are onboarding lifeguards, if everybody is having the same struggles with finding lifeguards. We've certainly been experiencing quite a significant difference, I would say, over the last term than we have in the past. So previously, like, there was staffing challenges, but it wasn't this significant. For the fall, we hired on close to 40, and I would say we could have easily brought on another 20, 25 if we had the applicants to do it, if we had successful applicants to do it. So we're completing our scheduling right now. I've just done the full term schedule for winter ahead, and we still have about just under 30 shifts still left available to fill. So we are going to have to onboard some more, but I'm just curious as to if other people are struggling with this, if anybody has had certain success over the last term of recruiting and onboarding new lifeguards, and how you've reached out to students to get them involved.
We typically do our hiring in January, February for the following academic year. So we usually get a whole bunch of candidates. We'll put our postings up January, February. We'll do interviews in March, and then we'll get some through there for summer, but mainly the bulk for September. Come August, 10 people have probably emailed you and said, you know, something's come up, I can't work, or I've taken another job. So we do another posting. Whereas this year, our postings went up in July and we interviewed in August. I received, I'm going to say, over 100 applicants, and I invited everybody. So I was just like, if you've applied and you have a certification, you're coming, because we know that, you know, probably 20 of those are going to be strong candidates. So this year we had an external examiner come in, and he went through the skills. And then what we did is we evaluated all of the skills. We did standard first aid, we did interview, and then we also did team building. So we want to know, can you save someone, but can you fit in our culture? And if we had people who are really good culture wise, but their skills were like, you could use some work, we brought them on. And then before we do a full week of staff training here, we went through skill by skill by skill and had the notes of those applicants in the interview of, like, you know, Christine lifted the arms when she went to do a spinal roll, so make sure you cover that off. So that way we knew we had good people, and it was easier to kind of teach those skills and coach those skills, as opposed to coaching them to be dependable and have time management and just take that initiative and be good people. So we went about it a different way this year, and my God, we have an incredible team. Because it's just, they're very good people who want to be there. And I feel that sometimes where we get stuck is looking strictly at those skills and realizing, okay, you're almost at standard, but you're not quite there. So this year we, you know, if they were close, if they were a maybe and we really liked them, we'd bring them in, and we did like an extra skill session with, let's say, 3 or 4 people, just to really zone in on those skills that they needed work with. And then I'm going to say, I had to do another hire, and I have more applicants than I know what to do with. So I wish I was closer, I could send them to you. But I seem to not have that issue. And I think it's because, again, people are wanting to work on campus. It's easy to pop over for a quick shift between classes. They don't have to commute anywhere. So that seems to be our big thing. But yeah, no, unfortunately, I don't have that issue. But we found posting on social media near the beginning of the school year seemed to get us so many more applicants that we've had before. And I just think January, February, people aren't really thinking about September. They're more of, where am I going to work in the summer? So if you kind of leave it to midsummer, that's almost where we seem to pick up more.
Kind of piggybacking off you, Jenna, we like I wish we were closer because was swimming in, pardon the pun, candidates for my hiring. And I actually overhired for the fall, so I won't have to do any hiring for the winter. But I do wonder, this is something I've thought about piloting at Queen's, that I know a couple universities in the States do, but is to essentially set it up so that the people that are running through your national lifeguard courses, if they're seeming like good candidates, it's almost like if you pass the exam, then you will be onboarded with a position with us. Or people that are looking for a position, they'll run through all the training, and if they can pass all the courses, then they will hire them on almost as that kind of like a bonus, I guess, or like something for them to actually work towards. I don't know how feasible that would be for you, but it seems I think if we could target the high schoolers and kind of get them on while they're doing our courses to then be our staff, it's almost like you're training them to be a part of your culture, as Jenny, you were mentioning, is so important, kind of on the way. And then even if they aren't going to that school, like going to UBC, there might be times where in that maybe last year of high school, or if they're going somewhere close by, that they can assist. But I don't know, short of reaching out and trying to find those people that are looking for lifeguarding jobs, since we're have so many applicants that are looking for those positions here, I wonder if it's because we've had so many restrictions the last couple of years that they're just like, I want to work at a pool. But I don't. I guess, my question to you, Christine, do you have any idea why, or what the core reasoning is why you aren't able to find as many applicants, or like, do you think it's COVID related potentially?
I think it's generally a mix, but the COVID, I think, definitely had an impact on our fall scheduling. A lot of our student staff that we have, and we have a fantastic team, but a lot of them were taking on a lot of shifts over the last year and a half because everything was online. They could do their schooling whenever they wanted. So they could be able to work 3-4 shifts a week. It wasn't a problem. And then coming back in the fall, they were a little reserved when picking up availability, but it wasn't that bad. And then the first 2 weeks on campus hit, and I think it was a big culture shock for a lot of them, of coming back, the pressure of in-person classes, the pressure of, in general, professors were a little bit harder now that you're back in person with everything. And it was just a lot, right? And clubs are back on, teams are back on. So there's more personal commitments outside of school and work too. And I think that a lot of people just tried to take on too much. And then so they started to back up a bit in September. And that's where we started to see our big holes. So I think it's a bit of that, but it's also just a lot of people just trying to get people in these NL courses and try to encourage people to become a lifeguard and participate. And these are the path of travels that you can do to become a lifeguard, and what an amazing position to have on campus. I think there just needs to be more storytelling with that and trying to get more people onboarded that way as well. But yeah.
I'm just wondering if you could pair up with like kin, and this sounds silly, but putting something, if they get like an offer of like into first year and then putting a package together, like you can do your bronze med, your bronze cross, and your NL for this price. And it's like a discounted price that if you come in and you complete all of these 3 and you're successful, then you might be able to work with us. Because I think when it's like, oh my goodness, I have to do, bronze cross for this many hours and bronze med, and then I have to do my NL, and then I have to do like bum, it kind of seems like a lot. Whereas if you put something together for first years coming in of like, before you get busy, show up the last week of August, and this will get you a great way to get your certifications, but also find a way onto our team and be able to learn more about culture, or not culture, about campus and all of that. Because I think it's also the financial restriction. So if you can have like a package deal where you're kind of putting a bunch of people through, it's not like really the only cost we have is the instructor and the examination fee that we have to pay. Then the rest is kind of more of the budgeting side of it. But if you can kind of go through and knock it down to that, if you register for these courses, here's kind of the price as a whole package, it might help you. And if you kind of get those kids right from the beginning of kin or, teachers college or whatever, then it might help you a bit there.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea.
even residents, if you reached out like to those that are in res, like in first year looking to, find their roots on campus or whatever, I feel like that's where we do a lot of our marketing, is to those that are in residence and doing those nights where they get to know everything on campus. So yeah, that's a great idea though, Jenna. I'm gonna write that down myself.
What I've heard is for anybody who does like any of the advanced courses, if they fail a course, they'll allow the registrations or the registrants to come back, but the only fee they pay is the exam fee. So they can kind of repeat the whole course, but they're only paying the exam fee. So that's a way for you to kind of be like, instead of paying $150 again, come pay $30, do the course again, and then hopefully this time you'll be successful. And then that might be able to give you some more time to kind of spend coaching and develop those skills to then potentially bring them onto the team.
Thank you.
Of course. Anybody else want to take anything from staffing? What are you covering off in staff training? What's working? What's not working? How are we keeping those people motivated? Because I think, yeah, like Christine, we're all finding everybody's kind of burnt out because, adjusting back into real life was a lot harder than I think many people anticipated. So those 3 or 4 people we used to rely on for multiple shifts a week are now down to 1 or 2. So are there unique things that you're doing within your team to kind of keep them motivated and engaged?
So I have a fun little staff motivation thing that I've put in place, which you can change this to whatever name you would like, but it's typically subs for subs, like substitutions for Subway. But Queen students have an obsession with Starbucks, so it is now subs for Starbs, where essentially at the end of each month, I write out a little ballot for all the shifts they've picked up, either from, like myself, we have an online scheduling system where they pick up their shifts. So either if they picked up a shift or they've traded it with someone and picked up someone else's shift, you get a little ballot, and then I pick out 2 at the end of the month and they get a $20 Starbucks gift card. And it actually, just that little $20 Starbucks gift card really motivates them to pick up shifts and cover shifts last minute and things like that. So it's a relatively inexpensive way to show appreciation, but to kind of boost their motivation with food and coffee.
Awesome. Here we do staff of the month. So I actually have a Google form. I put everybody's name in who's a head guard, everybody's name who's a guard, and they nominate one of each and then put a reason why. And then we just kind of go by who has the highest votes. Typically we would put something together, but this year what we're doing is purple shirts, so our intramural shirts. They seem to always want that, and it fits in our budget because we've already bought them and we usually have extras. So that's been kind of the thing that we've given out. And then we've just put together exam kits. And there was chocolate bar, a granola bar, hot chocolate pack, some chocolates. Trying to think what else is in there. Microwave popcorn thing. And then I just wrote a card to every single staff member, and you put it in there, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is so great. It like brightened up my day. So I think we're finding like the littlest things seem to be making a big difference this year. Just kind of taking that extra step to show them that they're appreciated is definitely, as Kristen just said, they're working a lot harder when they're knowing that, there's things to look forward to. Anybody else? Oh, sorry, Christine.
We've been doing 3 stars in the newsletter. So every week, the admin team will submit a couple of names in for the 3 stars for the week to just do little shout outs. We've also done before in the past high fives. So it's just a cutout of a hand basically, and they can write their own high fives and throw them back up. And so we had switched it with a different staff engagement over the summer. And in the fall, when things were getting a little low with the 1 week, one of the staff members who's been around for a couple of years was like, let's bring back high fives. So her and I quickly printed off some and wrote up a whole bunch and threw them on the board. And it's honestly the littlest things that get people so excited. This week, we also had 2 of our shift supervisors have been around with us for a while. It was their birthdays. So I took a picture from our archive files from 4 years ago, their staff photo headshots, threw it up on the big LED screen with a happy birthday, and all the patrons saw it up on the board. So they were walking around and finding them being like, hey, happy birthday, George. And it went so well for all the members that were in here, the students were in here, and then also for our team. Like that was So I think we'll keep, that's a new tradition. I think we've started now and we'll have to keep that going.
Yeah, I did high fives years ago. Yeah, and it was interesting how well they like actually be able to take the time to thank them. So I mentioned in the MS roundtable or the customer service roundtable, but we're doing Rec-Star right now. So instead of Rockstar, it's Rec-Star. And it allows them to recognize one person per week who's gone above and beyond. And then at the end of the time period, so let's say it was October 15th to November 15th, I'll add them up. And usually what I did last time is everybody just got something, or we'll compete in teams. So what I did with the aquatics was they all got randomly drawn teams, and there was 3 people per team, and you got points if you came in and you did your time swim, the brick challenge, or the sprint challenge. And then if you guys all came in together as your team, you got points. And it was a way to kind of get those skills done, but have some fun with it. And then the winners got to pick whether they wanted a pizza party, they wanted Starbucks, or they wanted purple shirts. They picked purple shirts, which again was great for my budget. But it's just the little things to kind of keep. It was kind of one of those hidden agendas where you guys are having fun and there's a reward, but it's also, I know your skills are still being done in a way that's not a staff training, like, okay, we're going to do time swim. Let's all get excited. So, and we actually had teams who came in, I'm going to say at least 2 times a week to get it done. So yeah, it was awesome to kind of, when you put something fun in a challenge, I feel like it takes different spin to it. So yeah, lots of different things that you can do. You know, I think we're all finding it's the little things just to say thank you right now that truly mean a lot to the staff, because yeah, I think the one thing I keep going back to my guys is adaptability. Every day I feel like something's changing and it's up to them to kind of implement it. We're telling them, okay, this is what you need to do now. And a lot of it falls on them, or member complaints falls on them first, right? So yeah, the little things, if you can find that minute to do it, I know definitely goes a long way. So anything else? It's been so lovely chatting with you guys today. I appreciate you keeping Gray and I company. Anything else? Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again. There are a couple more webinars left this week. Otherwise, I hopefully will see you guys soon. I know there were a few connections made here of people who wanted to kind of follow up and get some more information. If you need any emails, let me know and I'm happy to send those out to you if you wanted to follow up with anyone. But again, thank you for your time today and have an amazing week.
Thanks, Jenna. Bye.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, everyone.